Hey everyone, welcome to Rinks Around the League. There were a couple of milestones reached with Rinks Around the League, so I thought I'd do a quick Rinks Roundup. Partners of the show, of course, are Ross Flat's Vintage Apparel, Arcadia Brewing, and the Second String Leather Company. Check out these guys and all the cool stuff they do via the links down below. In the meantime, let's go. Hey everyone, there's been some important developments with some of the newer rinks around the league. So let's check in with UBS Arena in New York and Climate Pledge Arena in Seattle. Let's first start with UBS Arena. While the Islanders play their final games at former Nassau Coliseum during this year's NHL playoffs, their new home gets closer and closer to adding some finishing touches. Just recently, fans who would have tuned into their live construction cam would have seen them pour their ice pad. This is an important milestone for any arena build. To explain in very simple terms, there are multiple layers to an arena's ice pad. Many layers of refrigeration lines, insulation, pipes, and concrete reinforcement. All these layers have to be built in such a precise way to allow the most efficient ice production and maintenance, as well as proper drainage. It's also the main surface on which all hockey games, concerts, and even monster truck shows have to operate on. So you have to make sure it's done right, as it's a very expensive thing to fix if anything goes wrong. I might do a video later going on the actual construction of the ice pad, but for now, I hope you can appreciate the complexity and the importance of this milestone. Following up with more UBS Arena updates, they recently released some of the photos of some of the progress in and around the rink, including these images of a rendering of their new scoreboard. At 26 feet high and 34.5 feet wide, their new scoreboard definitely won't be the biggest in the league. In fact, it would rank about 11th in terms of its main screen size. But I don't think Islander fans are going to complain. Things are getting really exciting in New York. Before we move on, if you're new to the channel, make sure you hit subscribe, help me out. Head over to my social at _the_rinks and keep up to date with building updates. Now, let's head over to Calgary and update things there. All right, let's head over now to Seattle and get updates on Climate Pledge Arena. They too just finished pouring their ice pad. They recently just released a video showing some really cool footage of their ice slab pour. One thing they mentioned in their video is a warming pad, which may not make sense to most people, but back to the different layers of the ice pad. One of the bottom layers of the ice pad is actually what they call a heated pad. Under the ice and the cold slab and a layer of insulation is another layer of warm concrete that includes its own refrigeration line. This warm concrete layer is warm for a few reasons. Its first function is to keep the ground or layers underneath the ice surface warm to prevent heaving in the ice pad above. You can get into major issues if your ice slab starts to heave. Not only could it make the concrete crack, it can make the slab very uneven. It can also create issues with the refrigeration lines embedded inside that concrete. Again, those issues are expensive to fix. The other reason is to maintain an efficient refrigeration system in your building. The building's refrigeration plant is responsible for freezing everything above those refrigeration lines. But if it's constantly using energy to freeze the earth or other layers below it, you're wasting a bunch of energy. Also remember that rinks have spaces underneath that ice pad. The ice pad at Rogers Place, for example, is actually a parking complex. That's where I would go park when I worked there during games. And another reason why they have a warm concrete layer is during ice removal. To cut costs during extended periods of time when the ice pad isn't in use for hockey, like in the summertime, arenas will remove the ice to save on refrigeration costs and maintenance. In order to do this quickly, what most rinks will do is dial up the temperature underneath that ice, which creates a very thin layer of water underneath that ice. This is commonly referred to as popping the seals. Once this is done, ice crews usually will come in with a bobcat or some other sort of machinery and basically chip away and remove the ice in large chunks. So a bit of a detailed answer there, but just a bit of an explanation if you heard them referencing a warm concrete layer and were a little perplexed as to why that exists in a place that you're trying to freeze ice. Speaking of ice, as mentioned in an earlier episode, they're using the rainwater off the roof of Climate Pledge Arena to help make the ice. How much water will this save the facility? It can take up to 15,000 gallons to make a full sheet of ice, and a Zamboni holds 150 gallons of water. During the course of a regular day, multiple Zambonis will do multiple floods during the day. So although the rainwater will need to be filtered and perhaps softened or treated in some way, it'll save operators a ton of water throughout the course of an NHL season. So that wraps up this episode of Rinks Roundup. There'll be more coming down the pipe as we eagerly await the completion of UBS and Climate Pledge Arena. Thanks for watching.